You're watching Cartel TV and I'm Jenny.
Loving Subaru nowadays is like being in a relationship that's hitting a stalemate. You love them. There are decades of amazing history behind you. There is so much more to look forward to, so much more potential and fun ahead. But somehow things are not really moving in the right direction, or any other direction either. They're simply not moving.
In the car world and life actually, not moving is not an option if you want to stay relevant. Now, Subaru are going through the motions with each new release, but not quite at the pace that we'd be hoping for overall.
Now, I've had respect for Subaru for a long time. They are something of a modern classic, reliable, reassuring, safe.
Like that old childhood friend that never seems to change much.
Also, the Outback is one of those vehicles that changed the car world and started a new trend without ever getting the proper recognition.
Now, what am I referring to?
Okay, so remember the revolutionary Audi Allroad that later became the A6 Allroad and A4 Allroad, or the Mercedes-Benz E-Class All-Terrain, or the VW Passat Alltrack, or any of those jacked up wagons that give side cladding protection, extra boot space, more ground clearance, and some form of all-wheel drive sure-footedness without actually being an SUV?
Well, the oldest amongst them, the Audi, came out about 5 years after the first jacked-up Outback. Still called the legacy Outback in many markets, it offered previously unseen rugged practicality not seen in a regular car back in '95.
Anyway, let me tell you a bit about the Subaru Outback that I have here.
It's the latest 2021 version in the top trim called Touring, and the consensus? Well, I'm not going to tell you yet, and it's not straightforward. So stay tuned for the good and the not so good.
Looks-wise, it's just what I described previously. It's a wagon that gets a bit more of an off-road feel without actually being an SUV. The off-roady upgrades do make a difference though. Cladding is very prominent and even more aggressive at the bottom of the doors. Roof rails are massive and they come with integrated crossbars. The 18-inch wheels are the perfect size for the reasons,
which I'll mention later, and the ground clearance, which really sets it apart from your standard wagon.
But if you're among those looking for cutting edge or modern design, the Outback does not really tick that box.
Now, the engine is where the Outback falls behind. Don't get me wrong, it's really good in sense of practicality, but it just is not where the industry is at the moment.
The engine is a 2.5 litre 4-pot naturally aspirated boxer petrol. It produces 138 kilowatts and 245 newton meters of torque. And being naturally aspirated, you do need to rev it up a little bit to get all the twisting force as it comes from 3,400 revs. Not too high, but definitely more distance than in pretty much any other turbo counterpart.
It comes with a CVT, and it's an okay CVT. And it's a sensible choice for a car like this, but sensible doesn't always mean impressive.
Well, exciting comes with Subaru's spectacular symmetrical all-wheel drive system with active torque split.
If you know your Subarus, you'll know what a great system this is. And if you don't, it's one of the best systems in its class out there.
Lastly, this is the only engine available in this vehicle, regardless of the trim.
Hopefully, we'll get more powering options soon. But at the moment, CVT all the way, baby.
Look, the CVT does reduce fuel consumption, as I will tell you in a minute, and it does rev comfortably when you push the pedal, and that's important for naturally aspirated engines.
Yes, it's a smart choice, but it's only okay, and that's okay in terms of CVTs.
In reality, there's still that discrepancy between the revs and what's actually going on, and there's that CVT-related sound at harder acceleration.
Now, neither the discrepancy or the sound are too bad, but they are there. Now, if it was my choice, I would drive this in sports mode at all times. At least then it feels like you're actually getting somewhere with that straining sound.
The engine's also not the crispiest out there, and this should be clear from the performance figures. It has enough power, it's a bit lacking on torque, but the CVT helps with that. But if you want performance driving, this is not the car for you.
Now, look, it can be quick, but basically it just takes more effort than it sounds comfortable with.
Acceleration in town is okay. Overtaking is manageable at a steady pace.
Now, where this powertrain combo shines is a motorway or any conditions where you have a steady speed.
The issue with this is that this sentence can be said for about 99.9% of powertrain combos.
But still, if you use your car to travel, even off the beaten track, then the Outback is still a good choice.
In terms of fuel use, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
The engine doesn't play to its favour being larger and naturally aspirated, but the gearbox is tuned for efficiency.
The official average result is 7.3 litres per 100 kilometres. In reality, we saw closer to 9.
Now, on a motorway, you could expect around 6, possibly. But in the city, you're going to be looking at more like double digits.
That symmetrical all-wheel drive is just perfect. It inspires confidence after just a few tests.
And you've got plenty of grip for slippery conditions with this all-wheel drive system. It handles it really well.
The towing capacity, which is something Outback owners may like to know, is 700 kilograms unbraked and 2,000 kilograms braked.
The ride is really relaxing and comfortable. It's a totally fuss-free experience, and it's enhanced by that all-wheel drive system.
If you do use it mainly for travelling, all the talk about the gearbox and engine becomes less important.
It's more than capable of meeting those needs, and as a family transportation with that bit of extra capability, the Outback is awesome.
The interior of the latest model is just so much better than the one before.
Now, while I sadly can't say they listened to consumers in terms of the powertrain, they definitely listened in terms of the interior.
The layout is awesome. I love the elevated central console, muscular dashboard with great materials, and let's not pretend we don't see the elephant in the room. The massive 11.6-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Here we finally see Subaru meeting the current standards head on. It's got portrait orientation and it has all the features that you want in first glance.
The icons are large and easy to use on the screen, and there are also physical buttons and knobs for the most commonly used functions.
Now, I don't care how cool an infotainment system is, I will always give extra points for some physical buttons. They just make all the difference while you're driving.
The system itself does take a few days to get fully customized to, but it's well worth it.
Now, if all this is not cool enough, you should know that even the bottom trim comes with this 11.6-inch screen. The one downside is that it does not get satellite navigation, but with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto included, it's not really going to be missed much.
Across the range, you also get electric front seats and the stunning EyeSight safety system.
The camera is also used for this really cool driver preset customization thing. It actually uses facial recognition, so every time you get in, it scans your face and it puts your seat in the right position, your steering wheel, things like that. Now, it's cool, but is it a gimmick? Let us know in the comments.
This trim also gets Nappa leather interior, which is as good as it sounds. It's worth a mention that the trim under comes with water repellent seats.
Electric sunroof is standard in the top trim, as well as this Harman Kardon sound system with 9 speakers. You had me at 9 speakers. I just love an immersive sound system on long trips.
In terms of storage, there's plenty, including big cup holders, a bin under the armrest, glove box, and door pockets, and this shelf at the passenger side, which is not just for show. It's actually deep enough to hold your phone.
Something I'd love to point out is the size of these windows. They're tinted and they're also large enough that you don't feel claustrophobic. It's actually so refreshing.
The rear also gets heated outer seats, 2 charging points, and air vents here at the back of the central console. It also gets bottle holders in the doors and 2 cup holders in the armrest. The boot has a capacity of 522 litres with all the seats in use and 1,267 litres with the rear ones folded flat. There's no load lip, so heavier objects are loaded in easier.
Now, listing all the features in this video would be long and dull, so I'm just going to highlight some favourites.
The driver monitoring system coupled with Subaru's EyeSight system can really offer a lot of peace of mind for your driving. Also, I will quickly just mention the great camera systems that amongst the multiple views also let you see the curbside. Great for parking and extra special on this massive screen.
So what is my final thought? Well, being a car reviewer in this present age, it's hard not to see past that powertrain. And the fact that it's the only option available does not make me feel jubilant.
The industry has moved on, and looking at the cars it competes with, it should offer at least some alternatives.
When you think about that extra ground clearance and that all-wheel drive system, it just begs for a better application. It deserves one. More than one, in fact.
But Subaru never said this was a sports car. Is it fair to want and expect more from the engine? Well, I really feel that it is. It's a jacked up wagon, but without the jacked up performance.
Now, Subaru have tried to market this as an SUV, but really what they've done is made a competent family wagon rather than a lacking SUV.
The interior is just awesomely practical and of very high quality. That infotainment is amazing. Chargers at the front and back, as well as air vents and cup and bottle holders. screams family transportation, and the space in the back makes it a great choice even when the kids are as large as adults. Add to that heaps of safety, relaxed and comfortable drive, and the amazingly sure-footed all-wheel drive system. And it becomes even more enticing for a family or a couple who just like to get out on the road.
Literally the only downside is that powertrain, and there's just no chance of any performance driving, which potentially can lose some buyers. But if you're looking for a solid family car with some rugged Outback capability, then the Outback is an awesome buy. Thanks again for watching Cartel TV. Let us know what you think of the new Outback. Leave your comments below and don't forget, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time. Peace.